The seat heater kit comes with 2 identical pads and the main wiring harness loom, which comes with a fuse, a relay, the switch and the connections. This loom is connected to the seat heater pads via the 2 plugs. This loom does the 1 seat, the backrest and the base. These are hooked up, doesn't matter which way around, and the switch goes in the console or can go on the side of the seat. The pad also has an earth and a 10 amp fuse supplied in the loom. When removing a seat from the car, one of the main things to safeguard against is any damage to the sill, plastic, paintwork, the door panel, the A and the B pillars. A major safeguard against this is to slide the seat into a central position so the runner is not protruding out the front of the seat or out the back of the seat. We also then highly recommend a protective pad to go over the sill edge, making sure no damage can be done. The plastic covers are removed, the bolts are all being completely removed, and the seat slid to this position. The seat is now ready to be tilted back to expose the wiring underneath. The wiring is then carefully unplugged and unclipped if clipped to the bottom of the seat. The seat is now removed from the car, taking a firm grip of it and moving back slowly through the door aperture, leaving good clear margins. Okay, we're now going to talk about the principles of fitting a seat heater pad. There's one that goes in the base and there's one that goes in the backrest. The pads are very similar to an electric blanket. They are a carbon fibre mat through the centre and they have a copper conduction wire running up either side. At the back they have a thermostat which controls or moderates the temperature. The seat heater pads are switched 3 ways, so off, low and high. When fitting a set of pads, the rear thermostat needs to be marked on the foam unit and a small nest cut in the foam so that there is not unnecessary pressure on the thermostat sandwiched between the foam and the seat cover. To cut the nest, we just dig the knife in about 10 millimeters using a sharp snap-off blade and then just tear the foam out, very similar to taking bread out of a loaf. For seats that have a pressure pad on them, it's very important that this is not interfered with. This can remain in the original position, but we never glue at all in this area as it will cause surface tension between the sensor and the seat heater pad. This must be sitting in its original position with no tension on it. The seat heater pad is then sat back on with the thermostat over the nested hole. The seat heater pad can be trimmed to any length to suit the seat. Once the side conducting wires are cut, no heat will come from this point onwards. We can cut holes in the seat heater pad, but either side of that cut there will be no heat. However, there is heat up to that point and above that point, unless of course this copper wire is cut, then there will be no heat this side of that cut. In this particular case, the seat heater is about the right length and we have a seat retention strip through here. The seat heater needs to be cut in this position to allow refastening of the cover. The cover has 3 original fastening points. These can be cut small, however it is much better to cut a long strip out so that there is easy access for the fastening of the cover. It's also good to note that the cutouts should be big enough so that there is no chance of the carbon fibre pad touching the wire subframe in the seat and causing a short. The seat heater pad has self-adhesive strips around the perimeter. The waxed paper is removed, ensuring that the original thermostat goes into the correct position. The seat heater pad is now pushed down into the seat retention position and marked with a permanent marker, taking careful care not to cut the side copper wires. It is then pulled back and simply trimmed out to fit. The balance of the wax paper is removed and the seat heater is tucked down into position. This now is exposing the original mounting points. The seat cover can then be reinstalled using cable ties, or if possible using the genuine hog ring and hog ring pliers. These can be installed using bullnose pliers as well. The cover can then be tightened down into position using the cable ties. The advantage of using cable ties is that there is no form of the seat heater pad touching the steel. Once the cover has been fastened down these three major points, subject to the cover's design and style, the cover is then rolled back over the foam unit, making sure that the seat seam is outside of the edge of the foam unit. When fitting the seat heater pad to the backrest of a seat, the seat heater is lined up with the bottom of the foam unit like this. The thermostat is once again marked and cut out, and then the seat heater pad is taken up the seat. In this case, there's a fastening point through here. We will chop the seat heater pad through this position, as it's unnecessary to have the heat between the shoulder blades, as the body doesn't generally touch this area of seat anyway. And for the interest of speed, we simply cut it through here. We simply fold it back and cut it flush. The tape is then removed off the side of the pad and it's simply stuck down around the three edges. Across the top edge, where we now have no tape, we put a thin bead of contact adhesive and glue it down into position. The wires are then routed out under the cover. To save any lump in the seat cover, we poke a hole in the foam unit and route the wires down through that hole and out through the back of the foam unit. This is then routed out through the foam unit and down past the seat into the back interface and into the main seat loop. Once the seat has been reassembled, the wiring loom from the backrest is routed down through the centre and through and under the seat. The loom from the base seat pad is brought through and the two are carefully terminated together using a cable tie underneath the seat, showing both plugs. The seat trim is then taken back over top of the wiring to conceal everything under the seat. The main seat heater switch loom needs to be mounted in relation to the seat heater switch. Whilst it's easier to mount the switch on the side of the seat, it is important to ask the customer their preference. In this case, we've mounted the switch in the dash, which requires a hole to be drilled into the dash in the appropriate position. The loom is then concealed behind the console and taken back through underneath the carpet and come out and taped to any existing seat loom under the seat. This will bring both backrest and base plugs through to the same position to connect to the seat once the seat has been installed. When refitting the seat into the car, it is important that the sill is protected and the runners are sitting in the central position so that the B and A pillar, the door panel, the sill are not gouged or scratched. The runners in this position also applies to lack of damage on the centre console. The seat is then carefully slid in through the door aperture, taking a very slow and careful approach. Now back and into position. The seat is leant back and the plugs are all connected, along with the original plug being connected.